The intellect cannot see the big picture. It can only see parts. And so you can follow a cause and effect relationship so far, and then the intellect gets lost in the complexity. But we have the ability to see the big picture and see how all the parts fit together. But we have to develop that ability because that's a heart ability. And we've just developed our mind ability. And I think where we are now is realizing the power of the heart and the power of those abilities that we haven't actually used before.
Welcome to Letting Go and the Greatest Secret, where we explore the end of your suffering and the beginning of lasting happiness. I'm Hale Dwoskin, and today I'll be speaking with Bobbie Stevens. Dr. Bobbie Stevens has PhDs in psychology and business and is the co-founder and CEO of Unlimited Futures, an organization that has been providing programs for the development of human potential for over 40 years. She is also a leading-edge coach specializing in the mind-heart connection. Can you tell me a little bit about your awakening experience?
Sure. Yeah. I was thinking of it in terms of Rhonda's the greatest secret.
Yes.
I think we both had great awakenings, and we pretty much ended up at the same place, but actually we got there from very different very different way.
Sure.
From her writing, I can see that she has. I think, but back up, we both started from the same place. I think it's a really strong desire to know.
And
yes. So she spent years of searching and investigating and everything to come up with what came for her. Fortunately for me, it just came easily. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just experimenting. I was a flight attendant for Northwest Airlines, which is now Delta, and I just had this feeling there was something else I was supposed to be doing, but I didn't know what it was. And so I kept asking, and I wasn't getting anything. But I had started smoking, and I saw an article in a magazine about some breathing exercises that would help you stop smoking. So I found the author, and she was a yoga teacher. She taught me the breathing exercises and some stretching exercises and yoga postures. And then I started I found some books on the postures and focusing techniques and meditation. And I put together a routine of things that I started doing on a daily basis. And my whole life changed. I was doing this every day for I don't know how long, but my energy started increasing. First of all, I quit smoking, which was my goal in the first place. But I had no background whatsoever in awakening or metaphysics or anything like that. The only thing I had was the what I had learned in psychology and Maslow's hierarchy of growth, and he talked about people having peak experiences. And I thought, if some people can function that way, it has to be human potential. So, I was just kind of experimenting. But anyway, I started doing these things on a daily basis, and my energy started increasing. My mind got very, very clear. I started feeling younger and more confident. And then things started coming to me. I started knowing things that I had no way of knowing. Just like when the phone rang, I would know who was calling, and that was years before calling ID. So
You were your own caller ID.
Yes, yeah, I was born before caller ID. I was one of the real pioneers in this field because I didn't even know it was field. I didn't know anything about it,
Uh-huh.
and so. But anyway, I found that I thought, well, if things are coming like this, maybe I should could ask questions and I'd get answers, and I did. And I checked out my answers, and they were right on. So I started asking bigger questions. And one of the questions that I had been pondering is what's life really all about? Why am I here? What should I be doing?
Uh-huh.
And and I got just I had worked with this, I did this daily. And then about once a month I would take a day of silence. As I said, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just experimenting.
Mhm.
And but at the end of one of my days of silence, I ask after end of my meditation, everything I would do these postures, and then I would meditate, and then in a meditation, I said, "Dear God, if there is a God," I was questioning everything in those days. And I said, "Dear God, if there is a God, I really, really, really want to understand this. I want to know what life's all about and how it works." And I got just a very clear understanding of how it works. And
Great.
it was absolutely amazing. I could see that there are laws of nature, or principles of life that governs how we create. But I could always see, that there's just this one wholeness, and that everything in existence is that. And that I could see that as love. I saw love as the power source. And I could see that there's a field of intelligence that contains all intelligence. And it just, it, I could see that there's a way to create, that we are creators and we're creating our own experiences, and that all of us together are creating world experiences. And I could see that there's a process for creating anything. And so this was pretty exciting, but I didn't have any words for it. It was just a knowingness. And I knew how it all works, but I couldn't talk about it because it just came as a knowingness. But the law of attraction was one of the principles. When The Secret came out, I was thrilled because I had been trying for years to make it not a secret. but,
That's great.
but unfortunately, it was still a secret.
All right.
Because I had what I knew as that I had to prove this, or I had to prove it to myself. I had to be able to prove it in a very material way.
Yes.
And so that's what I did. I just immediately started. I knew I could, I knew the process. I knew I had all this knowledge, so I knew I could use it, even though I couldn't talk about it. It took, 2 or 3 years before I could actually put some words to it. But I just started realizing that I could create whatever I wanted. And so I just created a vision of what I wanted and worked with these 7 steps that came to me for
Mhm.
creating, and simply started creating this vision. And I've been doing it ever since.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And
So
then
what are the 7 steps?
the 7 steps in the creative process is, the first step is clarity. The first thing we have to do is get clear about what we want. And then the second step is, see, most of us don't really know what we want because we don't believe that we can create what we want. So we never spend much time thinking about it.
Right.
But we need to get really, really clear about what it is. And then the second step is visualization. We need to use all of our senses to create a form. And that form, that we create a form in energy. And it's like a vacuum. It pulls the energy in to fill it. So that's the second step. And the third step is acceptance. And that's where your work is so important
Yes.
because to accept something, we have to let go of all the untrue things that we've been programmed into our thinking. And I know that you help people let go. We have a lot of people who've gone through the course that's worked with you or worked with the Sedona method, and found it very, very helpful to help them let go of things that they just couldn't seem to let go
Yes.
of. So anyway, that's the third step is we have to be sure that we don't have anything that's blocking it, because that's where the law of attraction comes in, because it's a principle it works just like energy. I mean, it works just like gravity. Huh? We're attracting to ourselves whatever we believe in, and we're repelling anything that doesn't fit. So I call it the law of attraction repulsion. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're always attracting or repelling. And if we have a vision and we're trying to create something, and yet there's something that's saying, well, yeah, this would be nice, but you really can't do that.
Right.
It blocks it.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, the fifth step is I put them together in like a pyramid. And the fifth is the top one is focus. Of course, we have to focus on every one of those steps.
Uh-huh.
And then the fifth step is intuitive guidance. And that's the part where we have to develop our ability to become quiet and still and listen. And when we're able to do that, we receive intuitive guidance.
Yes.
And the next step is action. We simply have to follow through with the action. 7 steps manifestation. It shows
That's great.
up.
That's great.
It's
And
wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, I can see how the Sedona method would help with all of that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. As I said, we have a lot of people that have gone through our courses that have use that method, or I don't know if I work with you personally or what, but I've heard a lot about you and a lot about the Sedona method and how valuable it is for them. Huh?
Great. Yeah. I can see how the basic process of the Sedona method is highly complementary to, as you let go, you get more clarity. As you let go, you see. You let go of the obstacles to taking action. You let go of what's inside of you that's repelling the things that you want. And as you let go, you can see things more. You can open yourself to that unlimited energy.
Yes,
That is that one universal energy that all is. So
that's
I can
right.
see how it's totally complementary.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh,
Yeah, I could see that everything in existence is energy. I mean, obviously, all of existence is just love. The first principle that I work with is that everything is love, expressing through energy, guided by intelligence.
hmm.
So the principles of there's 7 of them that we work with. The first one is that everything in existence is love, expressing through energy, guided by intelligence. And the second one is thought, feelings, and attention moves and forms energy. That's how we create. That's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one is the law of attraction and repulsion.
All right.
Because that again is, if we're attracting, we're always going to attract whatever we believe in and whatever we're focusing our attention on.
Uh-huh.
And then as I said, there's 7 of them, but they work for creating anything.
That's great.
It works the same way regardless of whatever we want to create.
Yes, and that's true. That this one universal energy is love.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
So without realizing it, everything we experience is just simply love in action.
Yeah, I think we're just now really discovering, I think, the power of love,
Yes.
because we, in the past, I've been receiving a lot of new information recently, about
Right.
what's happening in the world. And what we've just evolved to is realizing the power of love, uh, because we believed that all the power was in the mind, and our entire educational system is to educate the mind.
Right. It's true.
And we have heart abilities that we don't develop because we haven't known that they were valuable. So
Right.
we our heart abilities are things like imagination, intuition, receptivity, the ability to see the big picture. The intellect cannot see the big picture. It can only see parts. And so it gets to, you can follow a cause and effect relationship so far, and then the intellect gets lost in the complexity. But
Yes.
we have the ability to see the big picture and see how all the parts fit together. But we have to develop that ability because that's a heart ability. And we've just developed our mind ability. And I think where we are now is realizing the power of the heart and the power of those abilities that we haven't actually used before.
Yeah. I agree that all those things, they're more, they're softer, but they're, in my experience, they actually have more power. There's a limit to what the mind can do with reason.
Yes.
And when you're working with reason, you're only working with what you know from the past, from experience, which isn't bad, but it's still limited. But when you allow yourself to lead through intuition and through compassion and love, it opens doors naturally. It opens the energetic floodgates naturally,
Mm-hmm.
and then whatever you create, there is this love and beauty in it that is exquisite, actually, and
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes less about the creation and more just about being that which
Yeah.
you are.
Yes. Yes. It's. I mean, we're really moving into a huge transformation, and I think I'm not the only one who knows it.
Yes.
When I had my first awakening, I didn't know anybody that knew anything about anything like this. I
Yes.
thought I was the only person in the world that knew this.
Right. Right.
And so I started searching, trying to see if anybody else knew anything about this. And then, of course, I um, found out that there are other people, and of course, there was a lot of information. And what I realized was that I guess I'm more action oriented than philosophical.
Oh, sure,
So,
sure. Most of us are.
yeah, yeah. But I was invited to speak at an international conference on science, consciousness, and spirituality a couple of years ago, and
Mhm.
they were all scientists there. And it was so interesting because um, everybody was talking about, we were all basically talking about the one misconception that has created all the problems that we're facing in the world, and that's our belief in separateness, our
Yes.
belief that we're separate from each other and nature, and that has caused competition. It's caused all the corruption and all these things because we don't know that we're all connected.
Yes.
And so the scientists we're all working on them, we're all discovering it. And I just finished my book. My book was called Making Sense of the Chaos.
Uh-huh.
And all the chaos is actually bringing us to a realization that we were going to destroy ourselves, actually, because we didn't know who we were, who we are, or
Yes.
that we have the power within ourselves. we always this belief that the power is outside, but everybody's sitting around talking about all this, and I'm thinking, okay, we know. So what are we going to do about it?
Right. So did anything
Yeah.
come out of it?
Yes. Yes.
Did anyone agree on something to do, or?
Yes, it was, it was a wonderful conference, and there were a lot of, really excellent top scientists there. And of course, that's what everybody's talking about. And of course, my book was about that. And that's how I got invited, because I was a non-scientist that was in this group of mostly all scientists. But as I said, I didn't have to figure it out, and I didn't have to. It just came, and so and I know that there are a number of people that are now connecting with different spiritual beings or something, and I don't understand that either. I just understand what I experience, and the fact that other people experience the same thing. I've been offering these, doing programs in the development of human potential for over 40 years.
Yes.
Yes.
So you've been doing what you've been doing as long as we've been doing the Sedona method. Did you start in the 70s?
Yes. Yeah. In the 70s. Yeah. Is that when you started?
The Sedona method started then. I actually started in 76, but the Sedona method started in the earlier 70s. Yes. I found out about it in 76.
Okay. Yeah. I started, in the very early 70s. And it came, and I had this understanding. And so then I had to prove it. I created a vision of something I knew I couldn't possibly create if I had to do things the traditional way. And so I, just said, what do I want? I worked through those 7 steps. What I want, I decided I wanted my own place. I was single and I was living alone. Mm-hmm. So I decided I wanted a townhouse, but there weren't any townhouses in Minnesota where I lived at the time. But I had seen them as a flight attendant. I, flew all the different places and saw townhouses in other places. And I thought, I want one. And I thought, if I can create whatever I want, I can create a townhouse development and my townhouse in it. And so then I started getting very clear about that, what it would look like. And then I, of course, had to have new furniture for my new townhouse. And so I got clear about what that would look like. And I, went out and looked at furniture and everything so I could clearly visualize it. And of course, at that time, I was just on top of the world. Everything was going perfectly for me. And I just was focused my attention on it. And I knew that it was going to happen. And I knew that it was going to happen within a year. It just came to me that it would happen within a year. Uh-huh. And so then I asked, then, what should I do next? And what I got was I should get a real estate license. And so I argued with that a little bit. I thought, why do I need a real estate license? I don't, there's no townhouses here. Right. And anyway, I got the real estate license. And then I saw an ad in the paper. It said, come in and take tests to see if you'll be good in real estate. So I thought that sounded like fun. So I went in, took tests for about 3 hours. They decided to hire me. And about 3 weeks later, my boss called me in the office and he said, your tests are back. I said, oh, good. Am I going to be successful? And he said, well, you probably will. Huh? But he said, you're being totally unrealistic. Well, I knew I had already decided how much I needed for my townhouse and my new furniture. And I decided I'd have a grand piano in there, and I'd also get maybe I should have 2 townhouses, one to live in and one to rent out. Uh-huh. And then I thought I should have a new car. And that was as much as I could envision at that time. Yes. But I knew that was going to happen. I just came to me very clearly that would happen. So I wrote that down. I had figured out approximately what that cost. And so I wrote it down. And he said, and so I knew what the problem was when he said I was being totally unrealistic.
Sure.
And he said, do you know how many houses you'd have to sell to make that much money? And I said, no. Good, I didn't. I could have figured out I couldn't do that. But I knew I could. I knew it was going to happen.
Yes.
And so he said, well, I'll tell you one thing. He said, I've been in real estate for 5 years and I've worked very hard at it and I haven't made anywhere near that much money. And I said, well, okay, well, that's my goal. Let's see what happens. And I was afraid they were going to, take me to the to the asylum someplace because that at that time, I mean, that was in the early 70s.
Yes.
So people didn't talk about those kinds of things or even no, but anyway, it happened. It happened exactly as I had envisioned, and then I decided I wanted someone to share my life with. So I worked through the 7 steps and created my ideal partner. We were very happily married for 37 years. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2016. But anyway, it's been such an amazing trip, and thank you for asking me about it. I love to talk about it.
I can tell. Well, it's wonderful to listen to because your enthusiasm comes through, and people love to hear success stories because it encourages people to go for what they want and to let go of everything that's in the way.
Sure, we can all do it, and that was the thing that when I was able to do these things, I knew it's not just me, that it's possible for all of us.
Yes.
And so my friends knew something wonderful had happened for me, and they were asking questions. Get this, ask this for me, ask this for me.
Right.
And what I got when I tried to get information for other people was, you don't need to know.
Right.
But I knew that we could all do it.
Yes.
And so I knew that what I had to do was create a program to help them develop their ability to do it. And so that's how my company came to be.
That's great.
Because I developed this program for my friends, basically. And then they started creating the things that they wanted in their lives, and they told their friends, and that's how it grew.
That's beautiful.
That was years before the World Wide Web.
Right. Yeah, I remember when you had to market through direct mail or word of mouth or telephone. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to call people. We did introductory sessions at our house. That after I met my husband, we created this beautiful house on the lake in Minnesota, and so I finished my very first group at the new house, and we would invite people over and do an introductory sessions to just tell them about it and tell them how it worked, and they started, wanting to do the courses, and that's how it came about.
That's beautiful. That's just beautiful. So, would you like to give our audience a challenge, something they can do on their own to start exploring this?
I would love to. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it. I wrote down this down so I'm sure you notice I have a tendency to wander off, so I better write this down.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. The first thing to do is to make a commitment to yourself to take 15 minutes every day to just sit in silence and ask questions. If you want questions, just ask questions. And You just ask yourself the questions and then just see what happens and write down whatever comes to you. Just, it's getting yourself, just giving yourself the time to be with yourself. So
That's
we
always
don't do
important.
that
Yes.
normally. Yeah.
No, we don't do that enough.
So let's do that. And then at some time, let's do that for 5 days. And I'm betting that at the end of 5 days, you're going to want to continue. But
Yes.
I would suggest that we do, that you maybe get up a little bit earlier before anybody else in the household gets up. So you're have a spot all by yourself, so you won't be disturbed. And just take those 15 minutes. And sometime during that time, ask yourself what you want.
Yes.
If you knew you could create anything that you wanted, what would you create? What do you want to create? And then if you'll go to my website, unlimitedfutures.org, and tell me what you want to create, I will send you an interview that I did for Learning Strategies some time ago about the 7 steps in the creative process and how to work with them.
Oh,
So
wonderful. Sounds like a wonderful gift.
Yeah. And then they can start creating things for themselves, working with this process. And of course, in that interview, I think it's like it may be a little over an hour. I believe it's an hour and 25 minutes, maybe.
Yes.
So it gives us time to go into all the different aspects of it and how it works. So, and while you're on my website, you can also download a digital copy of my book called Unlimited: How Ordinary People Accomplish Extraordinary Things. And it's a book about how I created the townhouse development and the new house and my husband. I didn't create him. I attracted him. Yeah.
Yes.
And then it's about how many other people have created the things that they want in their life. So you can see how it all works.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you, Bobbie. This has been delightful. You're
welcome.
You're a delightful person. I love your enthusiasm and the clarity. And, you've proved this out for yourself. You've been doing this for over 40 years.
Yep.
And helping people discover what they can do too. So it's an inspiration. So thank you so much. I've really enjoyed spending this time with you.
Well, thank you, Hal. I'm so glad that I got to meet you and we got to spend some time together. And I'm just happy that I could tell the audience about this. As you noticed, I get excited about these things.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So
again,
we're both doing good work, and it's fulfilling. And I'm sure I was talking to Pete, Learning Strategies, we were talking about how neither of us ever wanted to retire.
Right.
And I'm sure you probably feel the same way when you love your work and you're doing something that's so fulfilling. There's nothing better to do. So why would you want to retire?
Well, you never know. I stay open because what's within me keeps well, actually, what I believe is as me seems to dissolve more and more. So I'm staying open to what unfolds, and we'll see. I may do this for a long time, or I may not. I'll let it unfold.
Yeah, you have to do something. And so it's a matter of doing something that you love doing. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Bobbie Stevens. You can learn more about Bobbie Stevens at unlimitedfutures.org. That's UNLIMITEDFUTURES.org. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe so you have immediate access to future episodes. Please give us a 5-star rating and share it with the people you care about. If you'd like to learn more about my work, my mentor Lester Levinson's work, and the Sedona Method, please visit www.sedona.com. As you explore our site, you'll learn the key to lasting happiness, success, peace, and emotional well-being. We have books, courses, events, and plenty of free material to explore. Again, go to sedona.com. That's sedona.com. Thank you for being here, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Letting Go and the Greatest Secret.